Hey, what's up? We got a fun one in here. We are working on this kick-ass Rav4. We've done the exhaust on it. Sounds great. And the customer has decided to go full airbag suspension on it. So that's what we're going to do. We got a mess of parts over here. Whole mess of parts. Control and manifold is Slam Specialties. And Maxload is the air struts and airbags and shocks for the rear. It's all really nice stuff, so hopefully I don't mess it up. Just kidding. I probably will. But let's see. I did a little bit on it yesterday, just trying to figure out what the plan's going to be, you know, how I'm going to get everything in place and all of that. So here's what I've come up with. I'm going to build a board to mount all of this stuff to, so that it can be pulled in and out as one unit. And then I think I have a good idea of where I'm going to run all the wiring and all of that stuff, the airlines. I still have to figure out if there's a way to run the airlines. I can't decide. Should I have the airlines exposed underneath, so if there is an issue with them, they're easy to get to, or do I run them inside the cab somewhere, pop them out? And at any rate, first thing I'm going to do is build out this so we know where our components are sitting, and then I'll start doing everything else. Last thing I'm going to do is install the actual air struts and airbags and stuff. But at any rate, let's get started. Right, we're back on the Rav4. Here's what we've got so far. Mounted. Everything underneath is mostly flush. I'll finish that up a little bit. Although when it sits in there, there's plenty of cushion there for a little bit of protrusion on the bottom. What I'm going to try to do is run most of the wiring and stuff. I'll go straight down into the board. I'll route out channels underneath to be able to run it, just to make it as clean as possible. I spent some time figuring out where I was going to route wiring and stuff, and I think I got that all sorted. So I'm going to get started pulling apart the interior so that I can route wiring. Once I get all the wiring and hoses in place, then I can go from there and start putting the rest of it together. All right, we're back on the Rav4 weekend, all of that sort of stuff. I also kind of fried my brain on this, putting it in here the way I'm trying to do it, where I'm trying to hide as much as possible and get all of these extra little components, figure out exactly where they're going to be, where I can mount them, has been a bit of a... The other air systems I've done, like the airlift, they have everything is built into the manifold, the valve body, so there's not that many components, extra little components to do. This system is a little bit more basic and requires all of these extra little components to kind of get everything done. So let me show you this. This is funny. Everybody's gonna laugh at this. Now, I can understand this. I know exactly what's going on here. This is kind of a schematic, but more a layout schematic. But I had to get it down somehow so I understood where I could run everything. Routing stuff on the bottom of the board, I need to make sure stuff doesn't cross over too much, because if it does, I'm not gonna have enough space to do it. So I have to line that up with where each component's gonna be and make it all work, blah, blah, blah. So at any rate, that fried my brain. But it's a fresh day, so I'm gonna get started on it. Lock down components on the board that still need to be locked down, and then start routing the backside of that board and getting everything laid out. So let's do it. All right, we made some good progress yesterday. I'm waiting on some parts to show up, but here's what we're looking like. Pretty good. There's still going to be some mess in here. A bunch of components got to get mounted over here and over here. I'm going to have most of the wiring and the hoses come through here. Here. So overall, it'll still be pretty clean, but there's going to be a lot of stuff over here. Yeah. But yeah, let's get moving on it. All right, I didn't film some stuff because it was tedious and boring, and you don't really need to see me poking hose through holes and blah blah blah. So here we are. All of the airlines on the board are attached. They need to be attached to where they go or whatever. Yeah, these wires are going to be some of the only wires that are not like run underneath. They're just going to come up, group together, and go off to their home, which is the digital gauge. Over here, negative big power wire and positive big power wire are going to come in over here. Yeah, so that's about all I got time for today. Tomorrow I'll get this flipped over. I'll run all of the wiring that's going to be attached to all of this. I still have to wire up these two relays over here, these guys, all of this stuff. And then once I get the wiring in place, then I can glue everything where it's supposed to be, and then the board will be ready to set down in place. Yeah, so we'll get back on it tomorrow. All right, we got the hardest part done. So there we are. That's the finished product. I do have one more wire to run, which is one more sensor wire for a pressure switch over here, but I'm waiting for a part to show up so I can wire that. But I'm just gonna hide that wire with this loom here. But yeah, so of course these need to be hooked up still, but I'm gonna do that very last. But there it is. It could be a little bit cleaner back here. Realistically, when you open it up and take a look, I think it looks pretty good, all things considered. I wish I could have made that a little bit better over there, but it's all done. It's going to be covered most of the time anyways, and then when they do show it, it's a double fold, so like half of it'll still kind of be covered. But yeah, so now on to the next hard part, which is finding places to put all of this wiring and the air hoses for up front. 2 very large battery wires. I got 5 of these 4, and then the other one. And then on this side, it's not so bad. I just got these 3 wires to find a home for. So yeah, at any rate, we'll get to it. All right, still working. Wiring, super fun. At any rate, so all of our wiring comes up here, under here, below the carpet padding over there, pops up right there. I've got all of that is for this, so we'll go over here and take a look at it. All right, so here we've got, there was a bunch of excess wire, so I had to do a loop. But here's our wires that will be going up into the center console. Get those out of the way. And then these are our wires that we need power for the gauge, ignition, and a headlight switch for some reason. So I'm gonna have to pull the stereo out, hopefully find everything I need back there. But yep, I'm not gonna video it. It's, yeah, not fun. All right, we made a mad dash yesterday to try and finish everything up and ran into an issue. I didn't record it, it was just installing the airbags and shocks and struts. Not a big deal, but here we are, all installed. Now, the issue we ran into was the tires were rubbing right here. There's nothing we could do about it. They're just too big. Even with this adjusted all the way down, the tire was still rubbing. So my buddy Ken at Shave Shop Customs come and grabbed one of the wheels, put a different tire on it, worked great. So now tires are ordered. But for now, the car's got to sit here till we get the proper tires. So, which is fine. I have some other stuff. I got to get it off of the lift now. which I couldn't do because the tires were literally rubbing against the airbag. Excuse me, airbag. So I have 2 wheels and tires I can put on here and at least be able to move it. And then I do have 1 air leak I got to find out. The rest of the system works great. This bag here leaks pretty heavily. Not the bag, but something in the line does. So I got to figure that out. All right, we're finally all done with the Rav4. Let's see what we got. Looking pretty good. Yeah, big old grasshopper. Yeah, everything ended up working out really well. Let me turn it on. I'll get it all the way up in the air. I'll put in some footage here in a sec too of the glamour stuff. At any rate, the install went really nice. Aside from having to change the different tires, which was kind of a bummer for the owner because he just bought these tires. But yeah, aside from that, everything went well. Let's get it all the way up. I think it looks really good with the new tires, so I don't have, I mean, it sucks that he had to spend more money, but yeah, so that's all the way aired up. Turned out all right. So yeah, if you want to get your Rav4 done, hit us up. All right, on to the next one.